My beloved child, do not scroll away from this moment. Listen carefully to what I am about to tell you, because these words are not appearing before your eyes by accident. You were guided here for a reason far deeper than you realize. Before this day began, before your thoughts became heavy with worry, before your heart once again started carrying burdens in silence, I already knew this moment would come. And I brought you here because there is something happening around your life that you can no longer afford to ignore. There is a battle unfolding quietly around your destiny, a struggle you cannot fully see with human eyes. And it has been touching the very areas where you have cried the most in secret, especially your finances, especially the doors that keep closing, especially the blessings that seem to come close, only to disappear again. My child, I know how exhausted you have become trying to understand why things always feel delayed. I know how many nights you lay awake calculating numbers in your mind, wondering how you will survive another month, another bill, another unexpected burden. I saw the moments when you tried to smile in front of others while secretly feeling embarrassed by what you lacked. I saw the prayers you whispered quietly, asking me for just one breakthrough, just one open door, just one sign that things were finally about to change. And still, somehow, the answer seemed delayed. You tried harder, you worked longer, you carried responsibilities that were crushing your spirit, yet something still felt blocked. And slowly, without even realizing it, discouragement began whispering to your heart. What if nothing ever changes? What if this is simply my life? What if I was never meant to rise? But listen to me carefully now, my beloved. Those thoughts were never planted by me, because I did not create you to live trapped in constant fear and lack. I did not form you merely to survive from crisis to crisis while watching everyone else move ahead. There is a reason your spirit has felt restless lately. There is a reason this message found you today. Something hidden has been trying to drain your hope little by little until you stopped expecting anything good from your future. That is why I am calling you closer right now. Do not dismiss this as coincidence. Do not treat this like just another motivational message, because what I am revealing to you runs deeper than temporary hardship. There are moments when the greatest attacks against your life do not arrive loudly. They arrive quietly, gradually, almost invisibly. Not through obvious destruction, but through exhaustion, delay, confusion, and constant disappointment. The enemy understands something many people fail to recognize. If your hope can be weakened long enough, your hands will eventually stop reaching for the blessing I prepared for you. And that is exactly what has been happening. You began this journey believing for more. Believing doors would open, believing your prayers mattered, believing your future could still become beautiful. But after repeated delays, something inside you began shrinking. Your faith did not disappear completely, but it became tired. You still pray, but sometimes without expectation. You still hope, but cautiously. You still believe in me, but of your heart has become afraid to dream again, because disappointment has wounded you too many times. My child, I saw every single moment of that pain. I saw you pretending to be strong while your soul quietly grew weary. I saw the fear that entered your thoughts each time another setback appeared. I saw how embarrassed you felt asking for help. I saw the silent comparisons you made when others seemed to prosper while your own efforts produced little return. And the hardest is this: you started blaming yourself. You questioned your worth. You questioned your abilities. You questioned whether you were somehow failing me. But hear me clearly now. The struggle surrounding you is not as simple as you think, because what you are fighting is not only physical. There is an unseen pressure trying to keep your spirit discouraged, trying to make you feel forgotten, trying to convince you that breakthrough belongs to everyone except you. But that lie ends today. Jeremiah 33:3 says, "Call unto me, and I will answer thee, and show thee great and mighty things, which thou knowest not." My child, there are things happening behind the scenes that you do not yet fully understand. There are battles I have been fighting for you while you were crying alone. There are dangers I protected you from without your awareness. There are traps hidden behind certain closed doors that would have wounded you deeply if I had allowed you to enter too soon. You saw rejection, but I saw protection. You saw delay, but I saw preparation. You saw silence, but heaven was still moving. And this is why you must stay with me carefully through this message, because what I am about to reveal next may completely change the way you see your struggles. The frustration you have been experiencing is not only about money. It is not only about bad timing. It is not only about opportunities. Something spiritual has been trying to sit over your confidence, your identity, and your expectation for the future. The attack was never just against your wallet. It was against your hope. Because once a person loses hope, they stop reaching forward. They stop believing they can rise again. They begin settling for survival instead of expecting restoration. And slowly they accept chains I never intended for them to carry. But my beloved child, I am speaking to you now because I refuse to let you remain trapped in that darkness. You are not forgotten, you are not abandoned, and your story is not ending in lack. Even now, while you listen to these words, something is shifting inside your spirit. A hidden awakening is beginning. The heaviness you have carried for so long will not remain forever. I know you cannot fully see the road ahead yet. I know there are still questions in your mind. But do not let fear speak louder than my voice anymore. I am still guiding you. I am still protecting you. And I am still opening doors that no darkness can permanently shut. But listen closely now, because the next is important. The delays in your life were never meant to destroy you. They were revealing something deeper that has been operating quietly beneath the surface for far too long. And once your eyes are open to it, you will begin understanding why certain cycles kept repeating around your life. This is why you were led here today. Not for entertainment, not by accident, but because heaven wanted to interrupt your discouragement before you gave up completely. So breathe again, my child. Lift your head again. Hope again. Because this is not the end of your story. It is the beginning of your awakening. And if this message found you at the right time, comment Amen below. There is a pain you have carried for so long, my beloved child, that you no longer even know how to explain it to others. It is the pain of almost succeeding, almost breaking through, almost escaping the struggle, almost reaching the life you prayed for, only to watch it slip through your fingers again. You know exactly what I mean. There were moments when it truly looked like everything was finally changing for you. Opportunities appeared unexpectedly. Doors started opening. Hope returned to your heart after a long season of disappointment. You allowed yourself to believe again, even if only a little. You thought perhaps this was finally the answer you had prayed for through so many sleepless nights. But somehow, something always happened. The opportunity disappeared. The relationship collapsed. The finances suddenly shifted. The favor you thought was coming turned into silence again. And each time it happened, something inside you broke a little more. I saw the confusion in your eyes during those moments. I saw you sitting quietly, trying to understand why life kept repeating the same painful pattern. You did not complain loudly. You did not always tell others how deeply it hurt you. But inside, your spirit was asking questions you were too tired to say out loud. Why does this keep happening to me? Why do I always come so close and still lose it? Why does breakthrough always feel one step away? Why does everything seem delayed the moment I begin hoping again? My child, I know how exhausting this cycle has become. You began every season with faith. You told yourself things would be different this time. You pushed yourself to keep going, even when your heart felt wounded from previous disappointments. But after repeated losses, your expectations slowly became guarded. You stopped allowing yourself to feel too excited. You became careful with hope because every previous letdown left scars on your spirit. And now, sometimes without realizing it, You prepare yourself for disappointment before good things even arrive. That is what prolonged discouragement does to the human heart. It teaches people to fear hope. I know there were times you smiled in front of others while silently expecting things to fall again. You became afraid to celebrate too early because life had conditioned you to expect loss after progress. Every time something good approached your life, anxiety whispered immediately afterward, "It probably won't last. Something will go wrong again. Don't get your hopes up." My beloved child, that fear was never my voice, because I never created you to live expecting disappointment. I created you to walk in confidence with me, yet somewhere along the journey, repeated delays convinced you that maybe you were simply one of those people who would never fully arrive. You started wondering if everyone else had access to favor except you. And the most dangerous is this: you began blaming yourself for battles you did not fully understand. You questioned your intelligence. You questioned your worth. You questioned your abilities. You questioned whether you were capable enough to sustain success. But hear me carefully now. The problem was never simply your ability, because many times you were qualified. Many times you worked hard enough. Many times you prayed sincerely enough. Many times you did everything right and still felt resistance. That confusion is what has been breaking your heart. You watched less disciplined people move ahead while your own efforts seemed delayed. You watched doors open easily for others while your path remained difficult. You stayed faithful. You stayed kind. You kept trying to move forward honestly. Yet life often felt like an invisible wall stood in front of you each time you got close to freedom. And slowly, quietly, you started believing there must be something wrong with you. But my child, what if I told you the resistance surrounding your life is deeper than what you can see? What if the reason breakthrough keeps slipping away is not because you are incapable, but because something unseen has been fighting against your confidence, your faith, and your expectation? Because there are battles that exist beyond the physical world. Battles over identity, battles over peace, battles over destiny. And the enemy understands something very dangerous. If he cannot completely destroy you, he will try to exhaust you instead. He will allow you to come close enough to taste hope, then try to pull it away repeatedly until discouragement settles deep into your spirit. Because once discouragement becomes normal, people stop reaching toward the future I prepared for them. That is why the attack against you has been so subtle. Not always destruction, not always chaos, but constant interruption, constant delay, constant frustration, constant emotional exhaustion. Just enough disappointment to make you slowly lower your expectations for your life. But I am speaking to you now because I do not want you trapped in that cycle anymore. You must understand this clearly. Repeated delay can wound faith if the heart does not stay connected to me. That is why Hebrews 10:38 says, "The righteous shall live by faith." Faith is not merely believing when everything is easy. Faith becomes most powerful when your circumstances try convincing you that nothing is changing. And I know how difficult that has been for you. There were nights when your prayers felt heavy, nights when you continued speaking to me while secretly wondering if your words were even reaching heaven. There were moments when you felt emotionally numb because disappointment had drained so much energy from your soul. You still loved me, but you became tired. Tired of waiting, tired of hoping, tired of rebuilding your expectations after every setback. And I need you to know something, my beloved child. I was never angry at your exhaustion. I saw how hard you fought internally just to remain standing. I saw you trying to hold yourself together while carrying pressures nobody else fully understood. I saw how lonely the battle became when you stopped talking about it, because you feared nobody would understand your pain anymore. But even during those moments, I never left you, not once. Even when your faith became weak, my hand remained over your life. Even when confusion filled your mind, I was still protecting your future in ways you could not see. Even when you felt abandoned, heaven was still moving quietly around your destiny. And this is what I need you to realize now. The repeated delays were never proof that I forgot you. They were signs that there was resistance surrounding what I placed inside your future. Because the enemy does not fight empty destinies. The reason the battle intensified around your peace, your finances, your confidence, and your hope is because your future carries weight. There is something valuable attached to your calling. There is something meaningful attached to your breakthrough. And darkness always attacks what threatens its control. That is why you cannot interpret every delay as rejection anymore. Sometimes the resistance is evidence that your breakthrough matters more than you realize. I know that changes the way you see your struggle. You thought you were simply unlucky. You thought you were simply behind. You thought maybe you were not enough. But what if your battles were revealing something far deeper? What if the constant resistance around your life was exposing an unseen conflict over your destiny? My child, this is only the beginning of what I need to show you, because what I'm about to reveal next changes everything. My beloved child, there is something I need you to understand now before you continue carrying blame that was never yours to hold. The battle surrounding your life is not as simple as you once believed. For so long, you thought your struggle was only about money, only about opportunities, only about bad timing, difficult people, unfortunate circumstances, or personal weakness. You kept trying to fix everything from the surface, while something much deeper continued operating underneath. And because you could not fully see it, confusion began exhausting your spirit. You kept asking yourself, why does life feel harder for me than for others? Why do I always feel resistance? Why does peace disappear the moment I get close to breakthrough? Why do certain patterns keep repeating around my life no matter how hard I try? My child, listen to me carefully now. Not every battle is visible. Some struggles happen in places human eyes cannot naturally see. Some attacks do not arrive through obvious destruction, but through subtle pressure against your thoughts, your confidence, your peace, your identity, and your destiny. And that is why the warfare surrounding you has felt so exhausting. You were trying to fight a spiritual battle using only natural understanding. But there is something I need to awaken inside you today. Ephesians 6:12 says, "For we wrestle not against flesh and blood, but against principalities, against powers, against the rulers of the darkness of this world." My beloved child, your greatest battle was never truly against people. Not against those who rejected you. Not against those who betrayed you. Not against those who underestimated you. Not even against those who intentionally tried to hurt you. The real warfare has always been deeper. Because behind many physical battles are unseen forces trying to influence your direction, weaken your faith, and confuse your sense of identity. The enemy understands something powerful about your life that you yourself have not fully recognized yet. Your destiny carries weight. There is purpose attached to your existence. There is influence hidden inside your future. There is something valuable about your calling that darkness has been trying to suppress before you fully awaken to it. That is why the attacks intensified around your confidence. That is why discouragement kept following your progress. That is why exhaustion tried settling over your spirit every time you started moving forward again. This was never only about survival. It was about stopping you from becoming who I created you to be. And slowly, without realizing it, you began interpreting spiritual warfare as personal failure. Every delay made you question yourself. Every setback made you doubt your value. Every closed door made you wonder if you lacked ability. But hear me clearly now, my child. The resistance surrounding your life does not prove you are weak. Many times it proves the opposite. Because darkness does not waste energy attacking empty destinies. The enemy fights hardest against people carrying future breakthroughs, future influence, future healing, future restoration, and future authority. And although you thought you were simply trying to survive another difficult season, heaven has always seen something much greater hidden within you. That is why the pressure became so intense. The enemy wanted you tired enough to quit before reaching the season I prepared for you. He wanted disappointment to reshape your identity. He wanted repeated setbacks to convince you that you were insignificant. He wanted your pain to become so heavy that you stopped seeing yourself through my eyes. Because if your identity becomes distorted, your destiny becomes difficult to recognize. And this is exactly where many people become trapped. They spend years fighting for money while never realizing the deeper attack was against their identity all along. You thought the battle was, how do I escape lack? But the deeper question became, do I still believe I am worthy to receive blessing? You thought the battle was, how do I find opportunity? But the deeper question became, do I still believe my future matters? You thought the battle was, how do I survive? But the deeper question became, do I still see myself as chosen, or have I accepted defeat? My child, this is why the warfare became so dangerous. Because the enemy rarely begins by stealing possessions first. He begins by attacking identity. He whispers quietly over time, you will never rise. You are always behind. Nothing ever changes for you. You are forgotten. You are not enough. And if those lies repeat long enough, people slowly begin agreeing with them inside their hearts. That is when destiny starts becoming buried underneath discouragement. But today I am interrupting those lies before they completely settle over your spirit. You are not who your disappointments say you are. You are not defined by delayed seasons. You are not defined by rejection. You are not defined by financial struggle. You are not defined by past failures. You are defined by the voice that created you. And I never called you forgotten. I called you chosen. I never called you weak. I called you mine. I never called you destined for defeat. I called you into purpose long before this battle ever began. But my beloved child, there is another reason this warfare has felt so exhausting to you. It is because the enemy has been trying to make you fight the wrong battles. He wanted your attention consumed by anger toward people. He wanted bitterness to grow inside your heart. He wanted you emotionally drained from constantly defending yourself, proving yourself, and carrying wounds caused by others. Because distracted people rarely recognize deeper spiritual attacks. That is why some of your greatest battles came disguised as ordinary frustration, small discouragements repeated over and over until your soul became weary. Delays repeated until your confidence weakened. Emotional exhaustion piled up quietly until hope itself became difficult to sustain. And the entire time, the enemy hoped you would eventually say, I can't do this anymore. But look at you, my child. You are still here, still listening, still breathing, still searching for truth, still reaching toward me despite everything you survived. Do you understand how powerful that is? The fact that you are still standing after everything meant to destroy your spirit proves there is something inside you darkness could not extinguish. You may feel tired, but you are not defeated. You may feel wounded, but you are not abandoned. You may feel delayed, but your destiny is still alive. And I need you to hear this next carefully. The warfare over your life was never truly about keeping you poor. It was about keeping you spiritually blind to who you really are. Because once you fully recognize your identity in me, the chains surrounding your mind begin breaking. Fear loses authority. Shame loses authority. Discouragement loses authority. The enemy understands this deeply. That is why confusion has surrounded your life for so long. Confused people hesitate. Confused people doubt themselves. Confused people settle beneath what I prepared for them. But awakening is beginning now. You are starting to see that your struggles were connected to something larger than random bad luck. There has been a real spiritual resistance trying to influence your path. And once you recognize the existence of the battle, you stop blaming yourself for everything the enemy tried to place upon your shoulders. My child, you were never crazy for feeling like something unseen was fighting against your peace. You were discerning pressure your spirit could feel, even when your mind could not fully explain it. And now your eyes are slowly opening. But what I am about to reveal next goes even deeper than this, because the resistance surrounding your life may not have started with you alone. There are roots connected to battles that existed long before you were born, and understanding them may finally explain why certain cycles kept repeating around your destiny. So before you continue listening, I need you to declare this with faith. Type, I will not give up. My beloved child, there is a place many people enter without even realizing it. It is not complete unbelief. It is not total rebellion. It is not walking away from me entirely. It is something far more subtle, far more dangerous. It is the gray zone of faith, the place where a person still prays, but no longer truly expects anything to happen. The place where lips continue speaking hopeful words while the heart quietly prepares for disappointment. The place where someone still believes I exist, still listens to messages like this, still cries out to heaven occasionally, but deep inside something has become tired, numb, guarded, afraid to hope again. And my child, I know you have been there. I saw the nights you cried silently. I saw you lying awake in darkness after everyone else had gone to sleep. I saw the exhaustion in your spirit when another prayer seemed unanswered. I saw you replaying disappointments over and over in your mind, trying to understand why things still had not changed. And I saw the moment something dangerous slowly entered your heart. Not hatred toward me, not complete unbelief, but quiet hopelessness. You still talked to me, but with less expectation. You still prayed, but with less confidence. You still hoped, but carefully, cautiously, almost fearfully, because disappointment had wounded you too many times. My beloved child, prolonged waiting can quietly drain expectation from the human heart if you are not careful. That is why the enemy does not always try to pull people completely away from me. Sometimes he only tries to make them emotionally exhausted enough to stop expecting breakthrough. Because if expectation dies, faith slowly weakens. And once faith weakens, people begin surviving instead of living. That is the gray zone. You continue going through spiritual motions while secretly feeling disconnected inside. You still show up, you still try, you still say the right things. But the fire that once believed miracles could happen for you personally becomes dimmer little by little. And perhaps the hardest is this: most people around you never notice it, because outwardly you still appear functional. You continue carrying responsibilities. You continue smiling occasionally. You continue encouraging others. Yet privately, your soul feels heavy in ways difficult to explain. You became tired of rebuilding hope after every setback, tired of telling yourself maybe this time only to experience delay again, tired of emotionally recovering after disappointments nobody else fully understood. And slowly, disappointment began teaching your heart to stop expecting too much, not because you stopped loving me, but because you became afraid of being hurt again. My child, I understand that pain deeply. I know how discouragement slowly settled over your thoughts. I know there were moments you questioned whether your prayers even mattered anymore. You never fully said it out loud, but deep inside you sometimes wondered, maybe breakthrough just isn't for me. Maybe I should stop expecting so much. Maybe this is simply how life will always be. And those thoughts grieved my heart because they were never the future I spoke over you. Psalm 34:18 says, "The Lord is close to the brokenhearted and saves those who are crushed in spirit." My beloved child, I never moved away from you during your weariness. I moved closer, especially during the nights when your faith felt weakest, especially during the moments when you sat silently carrying questions too painful to express, especially during the seasons when your spirit felt emotionally empty and your prayers became quieter. I was there, closer than you realized. But the enemy wanted you to interpret silence as abandonment. He wanted delay to become proof that nothing would ever change. He wanted repeated disappointment to slowly convince you that expecting miracles was dangerous because hope only led to pain. And little by little, he tried pulling you into survival mode. That is what the gray zone really is. It is surviving spiritually without truly expecting transformation anymore. And the danger of that place is not obvious at first, because people in the gray zone still appear faithful on the outside. They still believe in me mentally. They still attend worship. They still pray sometimes. But inwardly, they stop reaching forward emotionally. Their expectation becomes buried underneath exhaustion. My child, the enemy understands something powerful. He does not always need you to completely leave me. He only needs you to lose expectation. Because when expectation disappears, passion fades, vision fades, hope fades. People stop preparing for blessing because they secretly believe disappointment is more likely than breakthrough. And that is exactly the atmosphere darkness has been trying to build around your life. A quiet hopelessness, not loud rebellion, not dramatic destruction, just emotional surrender. The enemy hoped you would eventually settle into a life where you no longer believed anything extraordinary could happen for you. He wanted you to continue existing while silently accepting limitation. He wanted your prayers to become routine instead of expectant. But I am interrupting that cycle right now, because your destiny cannot fully awaken while your expectation remains buried. My beloved child, I know you became cautious with hope because you were protecting your wounded heart. I know disappointment made you afraid to believe too deeply again. But the danger is this: if you stay in that emotional condition too long, your spirit becomes disconnected from the very expectation needed to recognize the blessing when it finally arrives. That is why I am calling your heart awake again. Not because I condemn your weariness, but because I refuse to let discouragement become your permanent identity. You were not created merely to survive disappointment after disappointment. You were not created to live emotionally numb while secretly believing your best days already passed. I formed you for purpose, restoration, peace, authority, and breakthrough. And although your faith became weak at times, it never completely died. Do you know why? Because I kept sustaining the small flame inside you even when you felt empty. That tiny of you that kept listening, kept searching, kept praying quietly, and kept hoping somehow. That was not weakness. That was evidence I was still holding your spirit together. The enemy tried to bury your expectation completely, but he failed. Because despite everything, you are still here, still listening, still seeking, still longing for something greater. And now, my child, your awakening is beginning. You are starting to understand that the greatest danger was never simply financial struggle or delayed opportunity. The deeper danger was emotional exhaustion, slowly disconnecting your heart from expectation itself. Because hopeless people stop preparing for the future. They stop dreaming. They stop believing. They stop expecting goodness. And once expectation dies, fear becomes normal. But I did not create you to live trapped inside fear. I created you to walk by faith, not perfect faith, not fearless faith, but living faith. The kind of faith that keeps reaching for me even after painful delays. The kind of faith that says, I may feel tired, but I will not surrender my future. The kind of faith that survives storms without completely losing hope. And my beloved child, that faith is still alive inside you right now. Even if weak, even if wounded, even if trembling, it is still there. That is why this message found you, because heaven is calling your spirit out of the gray zone before discouragement fully settles over your destiny. You are not forgotten, you are not abandoned, and your waiting season is not meaningless. Something deeper has been happening behind the scenes all along. But what I'm about to reveal next will finally explain why the resistance surrounding your life feels older, heavier, and more connected to your past than you ever realized before. My beloved child, I know there were many moments when you believed I had forgotten you. Moments when the waiting became so long that silence itself began hurting your heart. You prayed, you trusted, you kept moving forward as best you could, yet the breakthrough still seemed delayed. And slowly confusion began whispering dangerous thoughts into your spirit. Why is nothing changing? Why does God bless others before me? Why does heaven feel silent when I need help the most? My child, I heard every one of those questions, and I never became angry at your pain, because I know how difficult prolonged waiting can feel when you cannot yet see what I see. I know how exhausting it becomes to carry hope for months, sometimes years, while watching doors remain closed. I know how discouragement quietly enters the mind when prayers seem delayed again and again. But listen carefully now. Delay is not abandonment. Silence is not absence. And waiting does not mean I stopped working. Many times, while you believed nothing was happening, I was protecting you from things you were not yet ready to carry. I was strengthening parts of your spirit that would have collapsed under the weight of the blessing you were asking for too early. Because, my child, blessing without preparation can become destruction. I know you wanted immediate relief, immediate breakthrough, immediate answers, but you only saw the pain of the present moment, while I saw the full picture of your future. You asked for the door to open quickly, but I saw what would happen if it opened before your heart was ready to walk through it wisely. You thought you needed faster answers, but many times you actually needed deeper preparation. That is why some delays were acts of mercy you did not recognize at the time. You saw rejection, I saw protection. You saw frustration, I saw preservation. You saw interruption, I saw hidden danger ahead. My beloved child, there are blessings powerful enough to completely change a person's life. But if those blessings arrive before emotional maturity, spiritual stability, and inner healing are developed, the very thing meant to help someone can eventually destroy them. That is why I slowed certain things down, not because I wanted to punish you, not because I enjoyed watching you struggle, but because I loved you too deeply to release certain things before your foundation became strong enough to sustain them. Imagine giving enormous responsibility to a heart still controlled by fear. Imagine releasing abundance into hands still wounded by insecurity. Imagine opening massive doors while hidden emotional weaknesses still remained unhealed beneath the surface. The pressure would have crushed you. And because I love you, I refuse to let temporary impatience destroy permanent destiny. Isaiah 41:10 says, "Fear thou not, for I am with thee. Be not dismayed, for I am thy God. I will strengthen thee." Do you hear that, my child? I promise not only to bless you, I promise to strengthen you first, because strength is what protects the blessing once it arrives. Many people pray for sudden breakthrough without realizing they are emotionally unprepared for the life they are asking to receive. They ask for influence before learning humility. They ask for abundance before learning stewardship. They ask for elevation while still carrying wounds that could corrupt their future relationships, decisions, and identity. But I saw your entire future. I saw what your blessing would require emotionally, spiritually, and mentally. And I loved you enough to prepare your capacity before releasing what you requested. My beloved child, capacity matters more than speed, because a blessing too heavy for your current condition can become a burden instead of a gift. There are people who received opportunities before developing wisdom, and success destroyed them. People who received wealth before healing insecurity, and abundance magnified their emptiness. People who reached platforms before developing character, and influence exposed weaknesses they never addressed internally. But I did not want that future for you. I wanted your blessing to become sustainable. That is why your process became longer than you expected. While you were praying for faster doors, I was building deeper roots inside you. While you focused on external breakthrough, I was healing internal weakness. While you were asking for immediate escape, I was quietly developing endurance, discernment, wisdom, patience, humility, and emotional stability within your spirit. You thought heaven delayed you, but heaven was preparing you. Psalm 27:14 says, "Wait on the Lord, be of good courage, and he shall strengthen thine heart." Notice those words carefully. The waiting season was strengthening your heart, not destroying it. strengthening it, even though it felt painful, even though you did not always understand it, even though frustration sometimes clouded your vision. I was still building something inside you that could not be developed through comfort alone. Because some forms of spiritual strength are born only through waiting. Some forms of wisdom are learned only through delay. Some forms of discernment are developed only after disappointment teaches the heart to depend on me more deeply than before. My child, there were things hidden inside your heart that even you did not fully see yet. Hidden fears, hidden insecurities, hidden emotional wounds, hidden patterns of thinking that would have sabotaged the very blessing you prayed for. And because I love you completely, I chose healing over haste. You thought you were waiting for money, but I was reshaping identity. You thought you were waiting for opportunity, but I was strengthening character. You thought you were waiting for external breakthrough, but heaven was working internally first. And this is why the delay became confusing, because internal preparation rarely feels dramatic while it is happening. It often feels like silence, like stillness, like unanswered questions. Yet beneath the surface, your spirit was slowly being expanded to carry greater things. My beloved child, if I had released certain blessings during your earlier seasons, you would not have recognized the traps attached to them. Some relationships would have distracted you from purpose. Some opportunities would have inflated pride. Some financial breakthroughs would have magnified emotional instability already hidden inside your heart. And the very things you begged me to release quickly could have eventually wounded you deeply. That is why some closed doors were mercy. That is why some delays were protection. That is why some disappointments were actually redirections. I know it did not feel loving while you were crying through those seasons. I know waiting tested your faith in painful ways. But one day you will look back and realize I was preserving your future while you thought I was withholding it. And now, my child, your perspective is beginning to change. You are starting to understand that delay was never proof of abandonment. It was evidence that your destiny required deeper preparation than you realized. Because what I have prepared for your future carries more weight than what you currently understand. Your blessing is not small. Your purpose is not ordinary. And that is why your preparation became deeper. But listen carefully now, because this is where the deeper mystery begins. The delays surrounding your life were not only about preparation for blessing. They were also connected to battles and patterns that existed long before you were born. And once you understand what has been operating quietly through your bloodline and your identity, you will finally begin understanding why certain struggles kept repeating around your destiny again and again. My beloved child, I know there were many moments when you believed I had forgotten you. Moments when the waiting became so long that silence itself began hurting your heart. You prayed, you trusted, you kept moving forward as best you could. Yet the breakthrough still seemed delayed, and slowly confusion began whispering dangerous thoughts into your spirit. Why is nothing changing? Why does God bless others before me? Why does heaven feel silent when I need help the most? My child, I heard every one of those questions, and I never became angry at your pain, because I know how difficult prolonged waiting can feel when you cannot yet see what I see. I know how exhausting it becomes to carry hope for months, sometimes years, while watching doors remain closed. I know how discouragement quietly enters the mind when prayers seem delayed again and again. But listen carefully now. Delay is not abandonment. Silence is not absence. And waiting does not mean I stopped working. Many times while you believed nothing was happening, I was protecting you from things you were not yet ready to carry. I was strengthening parts of your spirit that would have collapsed under the weight of the blessing you were asking for too early. Because, my child, blessing without preparation can become destruction. I know you wanted immediate relief, immediate breakthrough, immediate answers, but you only saw the pain of the present moment while I saw the full picture of your future. You asked for the door to open quickly, but I saw what would happen if it opened before your heart was ready to walk through it wisely. You thought you needed faster answers, but many times you actually needed deeper preparation. That is why some delays were acts of mercy you did not recognize at the time. You saw rejection, I saw protection. You saw frustration, I saw preservation. You saw interruption, I saw hidden danger ahead. My beloved child, there are blessings powerful enough to completely change a person's life. But if those blessings arrive before emotional maturity, spiritual stability, and inner healing are developed, the very thing meant to help someone can eventually destroy them. That is why I slowed certain things down, not because I wanted to punish you, not because I enjoyed watching you struggle, but because I loved you too deeply to release certain things before your foundation became strong enough to sustain them. Imagine giving enormous responsibility to a heart still controlled by fear. Imagine releasing abundance into hands still wounded by insecurity. Imagine opening massive doors while hidden emotional weaknesses still remained unhealed beneath the surface. The pressure would have crushed you. And because I love you, I refuse to let temporary impatience destroy permanent destiny. Isaiah 41:10 says, "Fear thou not, for I am with thee. Be not dismayed, for I am thy God. I will strengthen thee." Do you hear that? My child, I promise not only to bless you, I promise to strengthen you first, because strength is what protects the blessing once it arrives. Many people pray for sudden breakthrough without realizing they are emotionally unprepared for the life they are asking to receive. They ask for influence before learning humility. They ask for abundance before learning stewardship. They ask for elevation while still carrying wounds that could corrupt their future relationships, decisions, and identity. But I saw your entire future. I saw what your blessing would require emotionally, spiritually, and mentally. And I loved you enough to prepare your capacity before releasing what you requested. My beloved child, capacity matters more than speed, because a blessing too heavy for your current condition can become a burden instead of a gift. There are people who received opportunities before developing wisdom, and success destroyed them. People who received wealth before healing insecurity, and abundance magnified their emptiness. People who reached platforms before developing character and influence exposed weaknesses they never addressed internally. But I did not want that future for you. I wanted your blessing to become sustainable. That is why your process became longer than you expected. While you were praying for faster doors, I was building deeper roots inside you. While you focused on external breakthrough, I was healing internal weakness. While you were asking for immediate escape, I was quietly developing endurance, discernment, wisdom, patience, humility, and emotional stability within your spirit. You thought heaven delayed you, but heaven was preparing you. Psalm 27:14 says, "Wait on the Lord, be of good courage, and he shall strengthen thine heart." Notice those words carefully. The waiting season was strengthening your heart, not destroying it, strengthening it, even though it felt painful, even though you did not always understand it, even though frustration sometimes clouded your vision. I was still building something inside you that could not be developed through comfort alone, because some forms of spiritual strength are born only through waiting. Some forms of wisdom are learned only through delay. Some forms of discernment are developed only after disappointment teaches the heart to depend on me more deeply than before. My child, there were things hidden inside your heart that even you did not fully see yet. Hidden fears, hidden insecurities, hidden emotional wounds, hidden patterns of thinking that would have sabotaged the very blessing you prayed for. And because I love you completely, I chose healing over haste. You thought you were waiting for money, but I was reshaping identity. You thought you were waiting for opportunity, but I was strengthening character. You thought you were waiting for external breakthrough, but heaven was working internally first. And this is why the delay became confusing, because internal preparation rarely feels dramatic while it is happening. It often feels like silence, like stillness, like unanswered questions. Yet beneath the surface, your spirit was slowly being expanded to carry greater things. My beloved child, if I had released certain blessings during your earlier seasons, you would not have recognized the traps attached to them. Some relationships would have distracted you from purpose. Some opportunities would have inflated pride. Some financial breakthroughs would have magnified emotional instability already hidden inside your heart. And the very things you begged me to release quickly could have eventually wounded you deeply. That is why some closed doors were mercy. That is why some delays were protection. That is why some disappointments were actually redirections. I know it did not feel loving while you were crying through those seasons. I know waiting tested your faith in painful ways. But one day you will look back and realize I was preserving your future while you thought I was withholding it. And now, my child, your perspective is beginning to change. You are starting to understand that delay was never proof of abandonment. It was evidence that your destiny required deeper preparation than you realized. Because what I have prepared for your future carries more weight than what you currently understand. Your blessing is not small, your purpose is not ordinary, and that is why your preparation became deeper. But listen carefully now, because this is where the deeper mystery begins. The delays surrounding your life were not only about preparation for blessing, they were also connected to battles and patterns that existed long before you were born. And once you understand what has been operating quietly through your bloodline and your identity, you will finally begin understanding why certain struggles kept repeating around your destiny again and again. My beloved child, there are burdens you carried long before you even understood where they came from. For years, you thought the struggles surrounding your life were random. You believed the repeated disappointments, the cycles of financial hardship, the emotional heaviness, the constant delays, and the strange patterns of failure were simply unfortunate circumstances. You blamed yourself for things that began before you were even born. But listen carefully now. Some battles do not begin with you. Some struggles travel silently through generations. And this is why certain patterns around your life have felt strangely familiar, almost inherited. You notice things repeating inside your family line that nobody could fully explain. Cycles that seem to pass from one generation to another like invisible chains nobody knew how to break. Poverty, addiction, broken relationships, constant lack, shame, fear, failure that repeats itself no matter how hard people work. My child, I know how deeply this has confused you. You watched people in your bloodline struggle for years without ever fully escaping the same limitations. Some worked endlessly yet never experienced peace. Some carried dreams but never saw them fulfilled. Some kept surviving but never truly flourished. And over time, the atmosphere of limitation became so normal that many stopped believing life could ever become different. But I need you to hear me clearly now. You were never meant to inherit bondage as your destiny. Yet many people unknowingly grow up inside environments shaped by spiritual wounds. Broken patterns, fear, shame, and darkness passed quietly through generations. Not because I created those cycles, but because pain that is never healed often continues repeating itself. That is why certain struggles around your life have felt older than you. The fear felt familiar, the heaviness felt familiar, the exhaustion felt familiar. It was as though something had been operating over your family line for years, convincing generation after generation that limitation was normal. And perhaps the hardest part is this. Many people never even recognize the cycle while they are trapped inside it. They simply accept it. This is just how life is. Our family always struggles. Nobody in this bloodline succeeds. We always lose everything eventually. My beloved child, words like those carry weight. Repeated hopelessness shapes identity over time. And when generations continue living beneath fear, shame, and limitation long enough, people eventually stop expecting freedom altogether. But you were not born merely to continue the cycle. You were chosen to confront it. Exodus 25 says, visiting the iniquity of the fathers upon the children unto the third and fourth generation. My child, this verse was never spoken to condemn you. It was spoken to reveal that spiritual consequences can travel through generations when darkness remains unbroken. Wounds left untreated continue affecting families. Fear repeated long enough becomes normal. Broken thinking passes from parent to child. Shame silently shapes identities for years, and because these patterns become familiar, many people stop questioning them. But something different happened with you. You started noticing the cycle. You began feeling deep inside that something was wrong. Something inside your spirit refused to completely accept limitation as your permanent future. Even while struggling, part of you kept longing for freedom, healing, breakthrough, and restoration. That longing was not accidental. It was the beginning of awakening. Because, my beloved child, the generation chosen to break the cycle is usually the generation that suffers the greatest internal battle. Why? Because the moment someone begins awakening to freedom, resistance intensifies around them. That is why your journey has felt unusually heavy at times. You were not only fighting personal battles, you were confronting patterns older than yourself, and the enemy hoped exhaustion would convince you to surrender before breakthrough arrived. He wanted you to believe your struggles were proof that freedom was impossible. He wanted discouragement to become so heavy that you eventually settled into the same limitations previous generations accepted. But that is not your destiny. You may have been born into struggle, but you were not born to remain trapped inside it. You may have inherited pain, but you were not created to reproduce it. You may have witnessed cycles of fear, lack, shame, and brokenness, but you were chosen to become the interruption, the one who stands up spiritually and says, "This cycle stops here." My child, I know how difficult this journey has been for you because breaking generational patterns often feels lonely. Sometimes nobody around you fully understands why your spirit refuses to settle. They may even criticize your hunger for change because your growth exposes the limitations they accepted long ago. But do not let their fear become your future. You are not dishonoring your past by seeking freedom. You are healing what previous generations never had the strength, awareness, or spiritual support to confront. And this is why heaven has been protecting you so carefully, because your breakthrough carries consequences beyond your own life. When you heal, future generations heal differently. When you overcome fear, future generations inherit courage. When you break cycles of lack, future generations inherit new possibilities. When you rise spiritually, the atmosphere around your bloodline begins shifting. That is why the warfare became intense. Because darkness understood something you did not fully see yet. Your freedom threatens every chain that tried controlling your family line for years. My beloved child, you are not weak because the battle has felt exhausting. You are battling things generations before you never fully confronted. And still, you are standing. Do you understand how powerful that is? Despite the discouragement, you kept searching for truth. Despite the exhaustion, you kept reaching toward me. Despite the confusion, something inside you refused to completely surrender. That was not accidental. That was purpose awakening. Because I planted something inside your spirit that darkness could not fully silence. There is a reason you feel different. A reason you could not fully settle into the same hopelessness around you. A reason your soul kept longing for healing, peace, breakthrough, and restoration, even while surrounded by struggle. You were created to become a turning point, not only for yourself, but for those coming after you. And I know sometimes you became overwhelmed carrying that weight. I know there were moments when you questioned whether you were strong enough to keep fighting. But hear me clearly now. You do not break these cycles through your own strength alone. You break them by walking with me, because the chains surrounding your bloodline are not greater than my power. The fear repeated through generations is not stronger than my truth. The limitations operating around your family line cannot withstand the authority of the one who created you. That is why I called you closer to me before breakthrough fully arrives. Because freedom begins spiritually before it manifests physically. The battle was never only financial. It was never only emotional. It was deeply spiritual. And now your eyes are beginning to open to that reality. But my beloved child, what I am about to reveal next goes even deeper than generational struggle itself. Because the enemy did not only attack your circumstances, he attacked your identity. He tried to place labels over your name so heavy that you would eventually believe you were destined to remain small, broken and limited forever. But those labels are about to break. So before you continue listening, I want you to declare this with faith. Comment, "It ends with me." My beloved child, there are chains many people carry without ever realizing they exist. Not physical chains, invisible ones, quiet agreements, hidden limitations, spiritual patterns operating silently beneath the surface of everyday life. And because they cannot be touched with human hands, many people spend years blaming themselves for battles they do not fully understand. They think, maybe I'm just unlucky. Maybe I'm not talented enough. Maybe success simply isn't meant for me. But my child, some struggles are deeper than what human eyes naturally recognize. There are people who work tirelessly their entire lives and still remain trapped in lack. People who come close to success over and over, yet something always seems to collapse at the last moment. People who carry enormous potential but somehow never fully step into what they were created for. You have seen this pattern, perhaps inside your own family, a cycle of almost freedom. Almost breakthrough, almost peace, almost success, but never fully entering it. And after repeated disappointment, many people begin accepting limitation as destiny. They stop questioning the pattern because it has existed for so long. The cycle becomes normal, the struggle becomes familiar, the heaviness becomes inherited. But listen to me carefully now, my beloved child. Not every pattern around your life came from me. Some limitations were built through generations of fear, brokenness, compromise, spiritual darkness, and agreement with lies repeated for years. Some families unknowingly lived beneath atmospheres of shame, poverty, confusion, addiction, emotional brokenness, and defeat for so long that those conditions began shaping identity itself. And over time, invisible agreements formed. Not always spoken aloud, but accepted internally. This family never prospers. We always struggle. Nothing good lasts for us. We never fully succeed. My child, repeated hopelessness creates spiritual agreement with limitation. And once limitation becomes agreement, cycles continue operating quietly through generations. That is why some people spend their whole lives feeling as though something unseen keeps pushing them backward every time they move forward. You know that feeling, don't you? The feeling of getting so close to breakthrough. Then suddenly, something shifts. A door opens, then closes unexpectedly. An opportunity appears, then disappears without explanation. Progress begins, then confusion enters. You move toward freedom. Then fear suddenly overwhelms your mind again. That cycle has exhausted your spirit because you kept trying to understand it naturally while something deeper was operating spiritually. My beloved child, there are invisible influences that try to attach themselves to identity and bloodline. Not because they are greater than me, but because many people never awaken to the authority I already gave them. That is why the enemy works so hard to keep people spiritually asleep. Because asleep people do not fight back. They simply accept the cycle. But something inside you refused to completely accept defeat. Even while struggling, part of your spirit kept sensing there had to be more. You could not fully settle into hopelessness because I placed destiny inside you long before these battles ever began. Still, the warfare became intense because the enemy recognized your potential before you fully recognized it yourself. And this is what many people never understand. Darkness fights hardest against those chosen to break cycles. That is why your path felt unusually difficult at times. Not because you were weak, but because your freedom threatens patterns that operated quietly for generations. The moment one person begins awakening spiritually, resistance often increases around them. Why? Because your awakening disrupts agreements darkness depended on remaining hidden. My child, the enemy hoped repeated disappointment would eventually convince you that the almost success pattern was simply your destiny. Almost enough money, almost enough peace, almost enough stability, almost enough breakthrough. Always close, but never fully arriving. And after years of this cycle, exhaustion begins reshaping identity. People stop expecting complete victory because disappointment trained them to prepare for loss instead. But I am speaking truth over you now. You were never created for almost. I did not design your destiny to remain permanently unfinished. I did not create you merely to survive beneath invisible limitation while watching others fully enter their purpose. There is more prepared for you than constant struggle. And this is where many people misunderstand spiritual warfare completely. They think the enemy only wants to steal money. No, my beloved child, the deeper attack is against authority. Because once you recognize who you are in me, the invisible agreements lose their power over your life. Galatians 3:13 says, Christ hath redeemed us from the curse of the law, being made a curse for us. Do you understand the power of those words? The curse was already broken. The chains were already defeated. The victory was already purchased. But many believers continue living beneath oppression because they never fully awaken to the authority they carry through me. The enemy knows this. That is why confusion has surrounded your identity for so long. If he can keep you feeling powerless, you will continue living beneath limitations I never intended for you to accept. If he can keep you emotionally exhausted, fearful, and spiritually uncertain, you will hesitate to stand fully in the freedom already available to you. And that hesitation becomes a doorway for cycles to continue. My beloved child, you have spent too much time seeing yourself through the lens of struggle, instead of through the authority I placed within you. You are not merely a victim of your past. You are not merely a survivor of hardship. You are not merely someone trying to escape lack. You are a child of the living God. And once that truth fully awakens inside your spirit, the atmosphere around your life begins changing. Fear loses authority. Shame loses authority. Hopelessness loses authority. The invisible agreements attached to your bloodline begin breaking because truth exposes what darkness tried keeping hidden for generations. That is why the enemy fought your identity so aggressively, because he knew something dangerous would happen if you finally realized who you are. You would stop begging like someone abandoned. You would begin walking like someone chosen. You would stop expecting defeat. You would begin expecting restoration. You would stop interpreting every delay as rejection. You would begin discerning spiritual warfare clearly. And most importantly, you would begin using the authority I already placed inside you. My beloved child, heaven never intended for you to remain trapped beneath inherited limitation forever. You may have been born into certain battles, but you were also born with purpose powerful enough to overcome them. The struggle may have existed before you, but it does not have to continue after you. And this is why your awakening matters so deeply. Because once one person in a bloodline fully recognizes their authority in me, everything begins shifting spiritually. The enemy fears awakened believers, believers who know their identity, believers who refuse agreement with hopelessness, believers who recognize that chains can break. And my child, you are beginning to awaken now. But what I'm about to reveal next goes even deeper than hidden cycles and invisible agreements. Because the enemy did not only attack your destiny through limitation, he attacked the way you see yourself. And until those false labels over your identity are broken completely, it becomes difficult to fully step into the freedom I prepared for you. My beloved child, there are wounds far deeper than financial struggle. Wounds that cannot be seen from the outside. Wounds attached to identity itself. Because before darkness attacks a person's provision, it usually attacks the way they see themselves. Before it steals opportunity, it tries to steal confidence. Before it blocks destiny outwardly, it whispers lies inwardly until the heart begins agreeing with limitation. And slowly, quietly, you began believing things about yourself that I never spoke over you. Failure, not enough, always behind, too broken, too weak, too late. My child, those labels were never created by me. But after enough disappointment, rejection, and delay, those words began attaching themselves to your thoughts like invisible chains. And because you heard them repeatedly through painful experiences, they slowly started feeling true. That is how identity warfare works. The enemy rarely begins by destroying a person's life all at once. He begins with perception. A lie repeated long enough becomes agreement, and agreement eventually shapes identity. You began believing the lies spoken over you. Maybe not immediately. At first, you resisted them. You tried staying hopeful. You tried believing in your future. But after repeated setbacks, emotional wounds, criticism, rejection, betrayal, and comparison, something inside you became vulnerable. The lies started sounding believable, especially during your lowest moments, especially during nights when disappointment felt heavier than hope. You looked at your unfinished goals, your financial struggles, your broken confidence, your delayed progress, and quietly, without fully realizing it, you started defining yourself by what happened to you instead of by what I said about you. My beloved child, this is the deepest battlefield of all. Not money, not opportunity, identity. Because once a person begins seeing themselves through the lens of failure, they stop approaching life with expectation. They shrink internally, they hesitate. They second-guess themselves constantly. They stop reaching for the doors I prepared because fear convinces them they are unworthy to walk through them. And slowly, destiny becomes buried beneath insecurity. That is why the enemy attacked your identity so aggressively. He knew something powerful. If you forget who you are, you will struggle to recognize what belongs to you. So he whispered through disappointment, "You always fail. You never finish anything. You are less than others. You missed your chance. You are permanently behind." And the most painful part is this. Many of those lies did not only come through your own thoughts. Some came through people who underestimated you, people who criticized you harshly, people who mocked your dreams, people who made you feel small, people who projected their own wounds onto your spirit. Words spoken repeatedly over someone carry enormous power, especially during childhood, especially during painful seasons when the heart feels vulnerable. Negative labels can quietly shape identity for years if they are never challenged by truth. Perhaps you heard things like, "You'll never succeed. You're too sensitive. You'll never amount to anything. Why can't you be more like everyone else?" My beloved child, those words wounded you more deeply than people realized. And even after years passed, some of those voices continued echoing inside your mind, long after the people themselves disappeared from your life. That is why certain fears feel so deeply rooted, not because the lies were true, but because repeated pain trained your mind to expect limitation. Proverbs 23:7 says, "For as he thinketh in his heart, so is he." Do you understand the seriousness of this? The enemy understands that thoughts shape identity. Identity shapes behavior. Behavior shapes destiny. So if he can distort the way you see yourself, he can influence the direction of your entire life. That is why darkness attacked your image before your finances. It attacked your confidence before your opportunities. It attacked your identity before your destiny. Because people who secretly believe they are unworthy often sabotage the very blessings they prayed for. They hesitate when doors open. They shrink back from opportunities. They doubt themselves constantly. They struggle receiving love, peace, favor, abundance, and success because internally they still feel not enough. My child, I know how exhausting that battle has been for you. You became your own harshest critic. Even when others encouraged you, part of your heart still struggled believing them. You learned how to appear strong externally while secretly battling feelings of inadequacy internally. And because disappointment repeated itself so many times, the lies became emotionally familiar. You started expecting rejection before acceptance, failure before breakthrough, delay before restoration. And eventually, those expectations became internal labels. But listen to me carefully now. Those labels are not your identity. You are not the sum of your failures. You are not your past mistakes. You are not your delayed season. You are not the rejection you survived. You are not the opinions spoken over your life by wounded people. You are who I say you are, and I never called you forgotten. I never called you weak. I never called you hopeless. I never called you permanently broken. My beloved child, the enemy wanted you emotionally trapped inside a false version of yourself. Because as long as you continued identifying with weakness, shame, fear, and limitation, you would struggle stepping fully into the authority and purpose I prepared for you. But awakening is happening now. You are beginning to realize the battle was never only external. It was deeply internal. The enemy hoped your struggles would redefine your identity completely. He hoped repeated disappointment would eventually make you stop seeing yourself as chosen. Because once people stop believing they carry value, they settle for less than what heaven prepared for them. But I refuse to let that happen to you. You were not created to remain emotionally imprisoned by lies. You were created in my image. Created with purpose, created with value, created with destiny. And even though pain distorted your self-image for a season, it did not erase who you truly are. My child, there is a reason you still feel restless when you settle beneath your potential. There is a reason part of your spirit keeps longing for more even after repeated setbacks. There is a reason your soul refuses to fully surrender to hopelessness. Because the real you still exists beneath the wounds. The real you still carries purpose beneath the fear. The real you still carries destiny beneath the discouragement. And heaven is now calling that identity back to life. You do not need to continue agreeing with labels darkness placed over your spirit years ago. You do not need to keep carrying names I never gave you. You do not need to keep shrinking yourself to fit inside old wounds and old expectations. You are not always behind. You are in process. You are not enough. You are growing. You are not a failure. You are becoming. And my beloved child, once your identity begins healing, everything around your life begins shifting. Because healed identity changes the way you walk, the way you think, the way you pray, the way you approach opportunity, the way you receive blessing. And this is why the next part is so important. Because I am not only removing false labels from your spirit, I am about to reveal the new name, the new identity, and the new authority I always intended for you to walk in from the very beginning.